Glasses on so you can see.
Okay. You should be able to see one page, correct?
I can see it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before I started speaking. Okay, great. All right. Good evening. I am Erica Green, and I will be your contact person for this NSO process for the JOPPA neighborhood. So this is our agenda for the night. We'll do introductions, and basically I'll go over what is a neighborhood stabilization overlay, defining the whole NSO process purpose, and then I give an overview of the process. We'll just, if anybody has any questions, that's where we'll start, and then what our next steps will be. So the NSO does not regulate architectural design or materials. For example, you may have driven in your neighborhood and seen a house that has been recently built or remodeled to be much closer to the street than the other houses on the block, or a house that is much taller than the houses on the block. That is the purpose of a neighborhood stabilization overlay, to keep any new remodels or rebuilds in keeping with the current layout of the building space that exists on most of the lots in that area. So this is the proposed NSO area for the JOPPA neighborhood. This is a very large area, and as we go through this process, we may want to consider condensing some of this to begin, just because it is such a large undertaking. So that is something to consider. So defining the NSO purpose. So basically we want to ask the question, what are we focusing on? What regulations can be made more restrictive? So that's going to be either your front yard setbacks, your side yard setbacks, height, garage connection, location, and access. These are the things that an NSO can do. So because we're doing an NSO, the current regulations are R7.5A, which is single family residential. So currently in this neighborhood, like I said, the zoning is R7.5. So no structure can be placed closer than 25 feet from the front property line. This is what we call the front yard setback. The height is limited to 30 feet. We can also note that the side front yard setback is 5 feet on each side. To make clear, the purpose of the overlay will be to make the setback and the height more restrictive. So this is basically an outline of the entire NSO process. Where we are is at the initiation of the NSO request. And then as you can see, it'll move forward to having that first community meeting. This is where we'll get together again with the neighborhood and discuss exactly what it is that they will see the committee members, which are you all, go about the neighborhood, taking measurements and things like that. We'll go into further detail and explain to the community exactly what you all will be doing. Then next thing is, once we have that community meeting, then the neighborhood committee, which is you all, will collect the data, and it usually typically takes about 6 months. That is the time that we allow for such large neighborhoods. And then once that data is collected, staff will evaluate that data and provide some options. Then the neighborhood committee, which is you all again, will discuss those options. Then we'll have a second community meeting with the entire neighborhood again to discuss those options that the committee has agreed upon. After that, the neighborhood committee will again collect and petition signatures, and it'll take again 6 months to go through that process, because you'll have to actually go door to door and get the signatures from everybody in the community. Once the petitions are returned, to staff, and then staff will verify those signatures. Then after that, the neighborhood committee will submit the actual application and pay the fee. And what I mean by fee is that it depends on how many signatures you collect. There is a certain percentage that you'll require that you're required to have for it to be free. If not, then you'll have to pay the application fee. After that, then your application will go to City Planning Commission. They will make a decision, and then it'll go to City Council. City Council will make the final determination. So in the initiation of the NSO request, this is, like I said, where we currently are. You'll get a committee of 10 people, and that's where we'll start. That's where we're starting at this point. And you've all put your contact information on this form right here. So that's pretty much where we're at. So our next steps would be to have our first community meeting, but I want to open it up to the committee members to basically establish, like I said, let me go back to this question. What are we focusing on? What regulations do we want to make restrictive?
Hi, Erica. Can I also, before we get started, I'm sorry, I wanted to introduce myself as well. My name is Monique.
Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Hi, let me put my camera back on here.
Oh, let me stop sharing. Yeah.
It's okay. My name is Monique Ward, and I'm a chief planner here at Planning and Urban Design, and I'll be working with Erica with you all on this process. And we want to thank you all for your interest and dedication to take this initiative on. And we appreciate how you're committed to working to make sure you can do your best for your neighborhood. And one of the things we want to talk about is what is the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish with this process? We want to be clear, make sure we understand that, and make sure that you guys can ask us questions around that. We want to make sure that we set clear expectations about what can and cannot be accomplished with this process, so that we can do our best to help facilitate you to getting the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. I'll hand it back to Erica.
Okay, and with that, I'm gonna share my screen again, and we'll go back to that question. That way we can you can see it for yourself. Let me go back. Okay, so basically, again, I'm gonna open it up to the floor. So what is it that you want to focus on? Is it the front yard setbacks that you want to focus on? Side yard setbacks, height, things like that. So you can start. I guess we can open it up. Shalandria, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, front yard setbacks and height.
Okay. And have y'all seen those things taking place in your neighborhood, the new construction being built that would warrant all of that?
Yes.
What's that? Is that what's driving you to need this NSO? Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes, the community is changing. It is a historic community, and we're trying to maintain as much of it as possible. We have different developers that are coming in. When they are buying under so many lots, under 5 or 4 lots or so, they don't have to contact the neighborhood association. So therefore, we have all types. We have very, very small houses that look like little doll houses. You have larger houses. They're trying to put townhomes in. So just a variety. It's just, we're trying to get it stabilized to see, kind of maintain and have an overall look. Maintain the overall look that we already have.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to share anything else? Are you all on the same page on that? I imagine you are, but if there's anybody else who wants to share anything on that.
This is Gwen Crawford. I'm pretty much on the same page with Ms. Gallimore as to wanting to keep it as close as we can, as much as we can, as on the same. What am I trying to say? Keep it as historical as much as we can. That's all. That's what I was trying to say.
Thank you for
And,
sharing that.
correct me if I'm wrong, there isn't any historic designations in this area, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's a historical site with the Texas Historical Commission. You know, we did that in 2015, but it's not a designation.
I just wanted to make sure because I was like, I thought I'd looked this up previously to make sure there wasn't any historic designation. So I just wanted to make sure we included that in there if that needed to be. Anybody else want to comment? Do anybody have any questions on exactly the task that you all will do? Because again, this is a large area and you are a committee of 10. And I know we spoke about this initially about maybe breaking up some of this area to do it in parts. So I wanted y'all to think about that as well, if that's something that y'all may be interested in doing, because this is such a large area to undertake. You may not be able to get all the signatures within that allotted amount of time, or the number in itself.
When you say the number in itself, what do you mean by that?
So if you get, if I'm not mistaken, it's 75% of the signatures of the requested area, then the application is free. If not, then you have to pay the application fee. And then on top of it, so that's one issue, is making that, and then actually getting enough signatures to go through the process.
So, in essence, if you maybe look at breaking it up into smaller chunks, you know, maybe starting with the one that you know you can get, or have the most, you already know you have the most consensus on doing that, and doing that one, you can probably maybe do that one faster and then move to the next one. And that way you wouldn't have to pay the fee if you know you could get, say, 75% of those in a smaller area. You know, that's less signatures you really have to get if the area is smaller.
Right.
So let me ask you this, because the area that you all are looking at and you're saying is a very large area. Do you know the number of homes that are there already, or you're just guesstimating?
So when we did our initial GIS for mail outs for the community, it was going to be a little over 500 notices that will be sent to the property owners in that area.
Right, but it's only 400 homes. So are you doing it to the homes or just the properties? And a lot of the properties are, well, they're not in, let me ask this question first. So are we doing land and the homes? So what the land that the homes aren't on, do we have to get, how do you get signatures for those?
Okay, so it is, you have to get the signature of the property owner. That's what we will verify once you get all the signatures. So that is why when we do our GIS mail out, it goes to the property owner.
Okay, so we have several properties that the people are deceased and they don't, that's why they ended up in the land bank, or some are ending up in the land bank or whatever. So how do you go with those that where you have the owners and they're deceased?
That is a good question. I don't have that answer, but I can find out for you what to do in the event where, I guess typically there's no property owner. or the property owner's deceased. So somebody,
If it's in the
somebody has
land
to-
bank, then the
Right.
land, yeah, we will, we haven't had to have that question. We'll have to check and research and make sure we tell you the right thing on that. Probably wouldn't have to get that one, but we have to check that.
This is Mike King. I've done this before.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mike.
Right.
If it is in the land bank, it goes to the city. The city doesn't usually take a role in signing, but if you contact the city attorney and chief planner involved in this, they may. So it depends on what the city attorney says. On if it follows the city's goals of zoning that they need. Sorry for the stutter there.
Okay, so we had someone that's on the call, and I don't know if they'll say something, but there's some developers there now. So as far as the homes that are being in the process of being built and have not been sold, then how do we get them to sign off?
They can't be, I would imagine they have to own it to be building on it. So it would be that whoever that owner is, the new owner. Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to
Have a question.
go ahead.
Speaking of the developer that haven't started to develop yet, let's say they have a lot and it hasn't been divided up. How do you count that? Do you count that as one? How do you count that? In order to, if we got that signature, how do you count that? Let's say, I don't know, 50,000 square feet, I don't know, but how do you count that?
So if it's 4 lots and it's owned by the one property owner, then it would be that property's owner's signature, just the one signature that we would need.
No, I'm talking about it's one lot. It's one huge lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
is
that's
that
still one signature.
okay?
Yeah, because they haven't built it on anything and then subdivided and sold it to different owners.
Okay.
Yeah, so then there's still that one owner. So
Okay.
that's, instead of having to get 4 signatures, you need that one.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You also said something about you would come back after we get signatures and you'll come back with options. What are some examples of options?
So you want to do front yard and height. I haven't looked at those yet to see what you could possibly do with that. Mike, do you have any experience with that? Like what different options would be?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all the question.
She asked a question about what options we could provide them for
Not
or,
us specifically. I just want to know
right.
examples of options because I know you can't give us specifics right now. So just what are options? That's my
So they're focusing more on front yard and height.
So instead of like, say, and I don't know, I can't remember what this is exactly. The current setback is 30 feet. We would diminish that to 25 feet. And that would be, what people would be in essence agreeing that they all support. And, or like the height would come from 45 down to 30, 30 or something like that. So those are the kinds of decisions that you're putting forward for folks to say, yes, that's what I want. Because I want to limit, say, a bigger home or, a minimum no smaller than X. You could probably go at both ends of that, but those are the things that you want to consider in essence. So, trying to make sure that future developers and redevelopment would have to fall within those ranges.
right.
And it really, again, would just be on these 4 items. Not say they all need to have the same look and character. That typically would come through like a conservation district process and not an NSO process.
Yeah, they don't have to look alike. We're just talking about
Gotcha.
some of the developers that are trying to come in and build $400,000 and $500,000 homes.
And we understand, you know, this is happening in a lot of neighborhoods in town. And
Yeah. So I'm not really interested in breaking it up, but we'll talk as a committee and try to figure that out, because what's happening is that they're buying all over, just different spots all over the community. So you have this one regulated, but then on the other side, you have them still
Gotcha.
popping up doing their thing. So, and then we have the University of Texas at Arlington, the School of Architecture and Landscape. Those students are going to help us as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is so fantastic. We were just
Okay.
like, oh, these 10
No,
people have to go out by themselves.
Right, that's why I was stressing, like, this is a big undertaking, and considering that this is a neighborhood-driven process, that you are all gonna have to go out and do all the measurements and things like that. So,
So we have a lot of help.
okay,
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
Good,
We're so
good,
glad
good.
to hear that. It's outstanding that you have that
Yeah,
help.
yeah.
Okay, let's go for it, man.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions or concerns? Okay. So I'm gonna go back. And so our next steps will be figuring out a date for the first community meeting. So notices will go out to all the property owners in that area. And it'll be kind of a reiteration of what I just explained to you all, so that the community understands exactly your role in this process, what you'll be doing, and what we expect from them as well. So the next thing I say is be on the lookout for that community date that I will be sending out.
Okay, so
And the goal is to also, you know, make sure folks know, like, because people are going to be like, why are these people walking around near my house, you know, and so
What are
forth.
they
We want
measuring?
folks
What are they doing?
Yeah, we want folks to have that awareness as well.
yeah, our neighborhood association meetings are the last Tuesday of every month. And so when we get off of this call, we're getting on that call. And we've been doing it via Zoom throughout the pandemic, but we're going to go back in person next month. But my question to you, so the first community meeting, are you all doing it? Has the city gone back to in-person meetings, or you're still doing it?
Funny you should ask that. As we are about to go back to City Hall being open as of March 4th.
Okay.
Our staff has been working remotely. And we have been, we'll continue. Erica hadn't even heard this because I haven't had a chance to tell her today. But we will be having a hybrid approach for a while with more staff in the office, probably something like up to half of the staff in the office for a few months to transition people, get them used to after 2 years of working from home.
All right.
But yeah, but you know, we probably, you know, could, even if you think it makes sense, we could try to target around your neighborhood association meeting, or have that, you know, partner with that to have more people participate, if they're in alliance with you guys and wanting to, you know, do this project, and or else, you know, at some point later, go and just talk to them about it. So maybe by the next time you would have it, which would be this time in March, we could feasibly come to you to do that, and attend in person. We haven't been told. In fact, there was still this kind of a directive to still have some, you know, many virtual meetings as we can with the public, because the goal is to not, you know, be in a room with a lot of people. But you know,
So that would be March the 29th.
March the 29th. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll make a note of that.
And we'll see if we can work with that, because we just got to make sure we can get those notices out that allows enough time for the notice to get mailed and out by that date.
So let me ask you this, because we won't get that much participation on the virtually. Okay, I know that.
Sure.
And if it's a problem, do you think that maybe we could? Do you all feel comfortable in a church setting, or maybe we could get a bus and come to City Hall and it's a larger
No, we
area?
don't. We could. You know, if it's a church, especially if it's a church where people can spread out.
Yeah. Okay.
That's something we could do. Or if you have a place where folks could even be outdoors, that's something we could do. So we can talk about that as a
Okay.
location. If you want to, we can follow back up with you and just kind of maybe pitch, see when we can, because we'll need to get that address so that we can include that in the meeting notice. But think about that for a second, and we'll definitely want to partner with you in this process and work with you to help you have as good a participation as we can. That's something that's important, that we can help you to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so this is my email address and phone number. We are remote, so it's easier to reach me by email. However, I do check my messages. Email or phone, I will be able to reach you all. So, if you have no further questions, comments, or concerns, I will say this concludes our meeting.
Okay. I'm gonna you want me to go ahead and give you this address, because this is our standard meeting location anyway. And
Yes.
so it's gonna be Shady Grove Primitive Baptist Church.
Well, okay. Okay, Erica got it.
Yes, I got it.
Okay. And it's 4802 Burma Road, Burma Road.
Got it.
So I would that, like I said, that's our regular meeting time. So would you all meet what, about 6 or the same time? Or?
Yeah, 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to give the group a heads up tonight that that's going to be our goal.
Okay.
If something happens, say we can't get that, we got to get the meeting notice out. We have to get it translated, just to let you know some of the hoops we have to jump through internally. That would be the only caveat to us not being able to do that date. But
Okay.
we'll let you know that if that happens. But I did want to just share that, give ourselves, so you will have appropriate expectations on that.
One more question, because you're going to translate it in Spanish, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
There's one more language. Can I just suggest it? And if you all can get
Yes.
it. It's called the Karen language, Karen.
N is in Nancy or M?
Nancy.
Nancy.
Karen. Mm-hmm.
And do you have a significant number of residents that speak that language? I take it. And where are they from? I'm just curious.
Thailand and Burma.
Burma.
Yeah.
Okay, Burma. Mm-hmm. Okay, dokie. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's good for us to know too.
Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to find translators, and then I was just told that if it's not a City of Dallas event, then they don't translate for us or something. I don't know. So, but
it's tough, and it's hard for us to even get as much translation as we would like.
Okay.
But we're always working on that. We will do our best to try to make that happen. We have some services, but it takes a little more time. That's the only thing. So, if we can't make that date, we might try to aim for the following one, but I hope we can. And that, you guys still getting, that doesn't preclude you from you lining all your ducks in a row.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And just note, it's the last Tuesday of every month. So if you can't get this one, you don't have to call back and say, well, can you do April? Because we're going back in. So you can just let me know. But yeah.
All right. I have it all written down. Thank you so much.
All righty. Thank you all.
Thank you. Great to meet you all.
Likewise.
Have a good one.
I look forward to working with everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.